Hello everyone, I'm Krasi and I will be talking about a very important celestial event. Saturn is turning direct. Saturn and Jupiter both were retrograde for quite some time. A week ago, Jupiter became direct and now Saturn is becoming direct. This is very important. Actually, what the ancient Babylonians, the fathers of astrology, considered very, very most important in the event, celestial event on the sky, was the invisible phases of the planets, actually the different phases of the planets in relation to the sun. So when the planet would be invisible, the nature of the planet would be very, very different. When turning retrograde or direct, the planet is not changing so much her nature. So actually, the changing of direction of a planet, turning direct from retrograde or retrograde from direct, does not change so much the nature of the planet, but it changes the way we experience and the way we experience the events that this planet would manifest for us, will make happen. So you can imagine that while Jupiter and Saturn were retrograde, of course, they would make us revise our moral and belief systems, because when retrograde they turn to be slower. They manifest what they mean for us in slower way, and due to their slower motion. And also, when the planets are retrograde, there are many different versions. The ancient Vedic texts, for example, in the Indian astrology, would say that the retrograde Saturn would be better and would denote more wealth. I'm not really very sure about this, because can we say that this retrograde Saturn, who was retrograde for quite some time, from May until this week, did he really denote so much fortune to the people, to the world? Actually not. So what I think is that he made us more reevaluate, rethink our moral values, belief system, philosophies. It all happened because both Jupiter and Saturn were retrograde. This is so important, both in their own sidereal signs, Jupiter in Sagittarius and Saturn in Capricorn. Well, they met for a while in Capricorn, in the kingdom of Saturn. Indeed, they met somewhere in May, I think, for a while, but still they remained in their own kingdoms, Jupiter in Sagittarius and Saturn in Capricorn. But here what is very interesting is again to look, first of all, in which point, in which particular degree, in the sign of Sagittarius, Capricorn, inside of Capricorn, Saturn is turning direct. And also, let me remind you a bit about the nature of Saturn. Who was Saturn in ancient Babylon? This is God Ninurta, the divinity which is associated with wisdom. And the ancient would respect Ninurta a lot and would not fear him so much. They would fear Mars more. I'm repeating this often because also now this is so relevant, since at the moment when Saturn is turning direct, he will keep forming the exact square with Mars. And this is very important. This is as important as Saturn turning direct. But I will explain you about this in a second. So what is happening? Saturn is God Ninurta. He is the divinity which is the god of karma. The ancient Greeks would call him the Lord of Tears, Lord of Karma, of course. And he was also, he's the ruler of agriculture, ruler of lands. And this, let me tell you that the countries which are having very, the volcanic areas, mountain countries which are known with their poverty, would be also very, very immediately influenced by the phase of Saturn. So God Ninurta is turning direct in his own kingdom, in Capricorn, his own kingdom, which he visited for the first time after absence of 28 years. He visited end of January 2020. And this is a very important return into his own house, into his kingdom, because you know that when such majestic Lord of wisdom, karma, tears, when he was away for such a long time, and when he finally comes home, of course, he will make sure that all which was not done, fulfilled, achieved, cleared out, whatever, he will make sure that all this will be done now while he will be in his own kingdom of Capricorn. He was in Capricorn, but he was retrograde, slower. And then he reminded us of a past. He reminded us of ancient rules that we had, ancient maybe a belief system, philosophical values, and so on. And now he turns direct. He will fasten the karmic lessons. What is meant to happen will reach us faster now when he turns direct. Another very interesting thing is he is turning direct, and he was stationary in this first degree of Capricorn, where we're having the outer on the sky. Yes, on the sky we have an outer, it's a constellation. And Saturn is turning direct in the outer. The outer is what we do in an outer: sacrifices, consecration rituals, praying. We also, the ancients say that in these degrees, if someone would have very, very important planet or luminary in these degrees, people will be butchers, would be performing spiritual consecration or rituals. And also, of course, these are very religious degrees, because this is an altar, after all, about magical rituals. So how these degrees are being used depends, of course, on how these degrees are placed, on the personal horoscopes of people. But looking at the global picture, the outer is being activated by Saturn, emphasizing on the outer. The outer is also projected on this part of the constellation of Capricorn, where you're having the goldfish, because you have goat and fish. This is the constellation of Capricorn. Half is body of a goat, and the other half is a fish. And you have horns. And the horns of the goat are what? They are not always benevolent. Depends, again, on people's horoscopes. Depends how the whole picture is looking like in people's horoscopes. They can be very benevolent. People who have very powerful spiritual or mediumship qualities, or people who are really clairvoyant, born with power in terms of predicting future, would have very beautifully placed these degrees of the otter and these degrees of the goldfish. But this is not always the case. This can also be so that we will be seeing malefic actions of governments or secret hidden groups of people, societies, which will be performing sacrificial rituals, or will be performing against humanity. Because you know that Capricorn is also a sign of power, tremendous power. And also Saturn himself is a very, very powerful divinity, the god of karma. So yes, the karmic lessons will come faster. We will experience this now really in a very potent way, manifested like in our everyday life, like we all play now. We are actors in a movie which we never expected to unfold in this particular way. So another interesting thing I will tell you is that while Saturn is turning direct, the moon is also in the sign of Capricorn. Very event of very, very powerful amplitude, very, very powerful emphasis from the sky. Saturn, the great Lord, is turning direct. The moon is also in Capricorn, and the moon is applying to aspect with Venus. It will impact finances. We will see now sharp movement on the financial markets. We will see also governments which will try to influence us, manipulate us, try to impose power. in the very, and faster. If this was delayed in a way during the retrograde motion of Saturn, which was from May until now this will happen faster. Another, the attempts to impose power on humanity. But then, let's not forget, in the very same moment, we will be having Mars, who is squaring Saturn in exact square to a degree. And where is Mars? Mars is in Athena Pallas degrees in the constellation, in the zodiacal sign of Aries, but in the constellation of Pisces. And there you have the Athena Pallas, lofty, beautiful, white degrees. These are literally white degrees. They're very lofty, they're very white, they're beautiful, they're spiritual, they are about wisdom, they're about people having bravery and courage. So, on one hand, the governments represented by Saturn will do their actions, and remember the altar is there. An altar is sacrifice, altar is demonic, can be spiritual, can be religious. So we have a mixture of bright, beautiful white forces against the darkness. This will be manifested now in a very evident way, like it will be unfolding before our eyes. And then we'll have brave humanity, brave people, brave individuals who, ruled by Mars, will revolt, will keep revolting, but this time in a very evident, straightforward way, even though Mars is retrograde, but in the degrees of Athena Pallas. And another thing, Mars, this will be the case until 1st of October, because Mars will be in these degrees until 1st of October, and after that he's entering again the sign of Pisces, where the picture will change slightly. But still, even though he will be in Pisces, the aspect between Saturn and Mars will remain on the sky. Of course, a bit different. What is also interesting in the whole configuration is that we're having a huge square, because Mercury-Mars opposition, and then Mercury Saturn square, and Saturn square Mars. So yes, fast thoughts, impulsive actions of people, attempts of the governments to work on our thoughts, and attempts to manipulate us, and so on and so on. But then there will be these brave actions of people. Yeah, who will win? In the end of the day, the light forces win always. And every single planet, also the planets which have malefic influences, are serving the white, are serving God. So everything is good. Everything is perfect. And it is given by God. And it's happening with God's permission. So manipulative actions from governments towards people or not, still, this comes from the Creator, and it happens with the permission of the Creator, and it's part of the divine universal plan. So we can't complain. But yes, we do live in interesting times. The whole story of manipulation and diseases and viruses will not end up now in October. This will be played out in a similar or a little bit different pattern up until Mars, who is ruling the diseases and who is ruling the natural disasters, if you want, and the diseases, will appear for a second time. And this will be end of 2021 in Scorpio, because we need to follow up, like I'm telling you, not only the retrograde or direct motions of the planets, but more important, their phases of visibility and invisibility, when and in which degree they become visible, invisible, and so on and so on. All these details have huge importance and direct influence on our lives. So yes, this is the thing. The events that governments try to impose on us will manifest in a bit faster, straightforward way. And yes, there will be opposition from people with brave hearts because of the degrees of Athena Pallas. And yes, we should be very spiritual, remain awakened with alert minds and hearts to what is going on now, because the future and the era of Aquarius is for those that are awakened, for the smart ones, for people who are spiritual and connected, or at least work for their connection with the higher selves and with the Creator. So this is very important. And I repeat, nothing bad is happening. Everything is planned, is part of the divine plan. It is important, though, how we react emotionally, how we perceive those events, how we teach ourselves into the spirituality of the new era of Aquarius. We don't know when this era exactly is coming, because you know everything is based on the precession, and you know that the great era takes like 25,000 years, and due to the due to the rotation of the Earth around its own axis. So we expect that we enter in the era of Aquarius in approximately 300 years, but this is not very, very precise. No one knows exactly. Only God knows exactly when we're entering the era of Aquarius, but we're on the edge and we already feel the energies of the year of Aquarius. This is very interesting topic. I will explain you separately this. It is very, very interesting. And when I explain you, so many things which unfold now will make sense to you, because we'll be analyzing also the biblical times. But I'm preparing this video. I will do this in the week, and I'll also explain you the interesting change of the nodes, the lunar nodes, Rahu and Ketu. The north and south nodes are entering the places of exaltation. Rahu now in September is entering Taurus, and Ketu is entering Scorpio. Another interesting, very interesting celestial event of the year of the crazy year 2020, like event after event. And it's so difficult to analyze each one of them because they pile up energies, and well, we will make such attempt anyway. So I will be explaining about this too. And yes, have a great week. Look at the events which are happening with gratitude, because our souls chose to be born now for the good of our own souls and spirits. So see you soon.